TV. Ironfall Invasion, a game that has been highly anticipated by 3DS users, including myself. It was advertised having an intense single-player campaign, multiplayer mode, and a survival mode. The game was kind of like an answer to the PS Vita's action games, or the Wii U Splatoon. I mean, how often do you find a third-person shooter on the 3DS? Other than Resident Evil, or Moon Chronicles, if you want to start a conversation about the lack of first-person shooters on the 3DS, there are no third-person shooters, so that got people pretty excited. Then people are getting skeptical about the game. They were wondering to themselves if it would be any good, how the controls would work on this device, and such questions. If you had a new 3DS, your control problems were solved with a C-stick. The regular 3DS users were either going to get stylus controls or the button controls, as in ABXY. The button controls work for games like Splinter Cell 3D, in which you don't move like crazy, but they wouldn't work for Ironfall. Now, the game was developed by VD Dev, a 3-man indie group that has been developing games for portable consoles for a long time. With their games, they really push the system's capabilities to the limits, but they don't sell like crazy. And with all these opportunities, like the 3DS not having third-person shooters, and there being lots of 3DS users wanting third-person shooters, it was VD Dev's chance. Now, is the game any good? Well, for starters, when you boot up the game, the VD Dev logo comes right at your face. If you have your 3D turned on, it's pretty cool to look at. Then the menu shows up. You have an option to play single player or multiplayer. The story of the campaign mode is that in the year 2017, an alien robot race called the Zyxides attack Earth. And what a great way to tell this story with cheesy voice acting.
After this Fleming guy for weeks. Do you really think he's hiding away in a beach resort?
So it seems. We're out of options anyway. No Fleming, no EX-16 armor. Remember, he was the one who designed it.
Yeah, well, this war is already lost, with or without EX-16.
Pull it together, Jim. You sound like one of those peace and reconciliation crazies.
This is Unit 4. We anticipate the presence of Zyxides in the area. Be careful.
Roger, Unit 4. Target in sight. 2 minutes to landing.
Well, the story's nothing really original. You play as Jim Whooper, a human tank wearing the EX-16 armor, or as Samantha Finch, the technological expert of the team. If you couldn't tell already, the graphics look amazing for the 3DS, but I wish I could say the same for the rest of the campaign. The objectives in each level is to mostly just retrieve a document or someone hostage, with gameplay consistent of you running through mostly linear corridors and shooting at enemies with a big assortment of weapons, ranging from assault rifles to sniper rifles to rocket launchers. And I like that they have some sort of realism with their weapons, such as the sniper rifle. It has at least a 1-second delay of the projectile coming out from the, your gun. That's pretty cool. The game tries to make things feel different by having boss battles, an on-rail helicopter shootout level, and some puzzles to solve, but it's all mostly the same, and since you do these frequently, they start to feel a bit repetitive. Even with the repetitive gameplay, I really enjoyed myself and didn't get bored very often. The AI is a mixed bag. Every enemy type behaves differently. Sometimes they're very tactical and absolutely brutal. Then other times, they literally either don't shoot at all or blindly shoot at you, just stay in cover, or just let you take your time. Every time they spot you, they yell out, "Human identified," or "Enemy spotted." There isn't much they put into the voice acting. It may not be a big deal, but all the guns, except for the handgun, all have the same reloading sound effects. It gives them less variety. Now on the top screen, you have your action going on, and on the bottom, you have your cover, aiming, reload button, weapon switching buttons, and your camera controls. Yes, this game uses touchscreen controls, just like Call of Duty on the DS. I'm actually quite comfortable with these controls, but there's one major problem: the sensitivity. I always find myself swiping the screen multiple times to turn around, but then I got used to it after a while. I imagine it's different with the new 3DS user C-stick. When in cover position, some obstacles you can mantle over. When reloading, you have a mini game in which you have to press the L or reload button at the right time. If you ignore it, your magazine fills up halfway, and if you succeed, you get twice the ammo. You can tell the game is working to get that T rating by having the characters say shit when you press the button at the wrong time. In fact, they say shit quite a lot in this game.
I think they're taking Fleming away.
Oh,
You also have your heartbeat sensor. The heartbeat sensor is what represents your health. If you get shot at, it raises. If you run, it raises. If you rest a bit, it lowers. Imagine that in real life. It would possibly make sense for Whooper, since he's wearing armor, but in the segments in which you play as Sam, It wouldn't make sense, since she's wearing regular clothing. Anyways, it sounds like a neat idea, but it's really just regenerating health. The campaign is short. It took me around 6 hours to complete on normal mode, and it really wasn't difficult. The only major hard parts are when you either attack enemies head-on who have outnumbered you, or the sections in which you play as Sam, which is the game basically giving you a handgun-only restriction. The game ends with a cliffhanger, similar to the one in Desolation of Smog. Once you've completed the campaign, there are challenges to complete. But other than that, and replaying the campaign on a higher difficulty, there is no real replay value. It may not be a big deal, but the interface of the campaign level selector is bland. It's a bit hard to tell which level is which. Now, the multiplayer is what sealed the package. You have an option of playing an online game, local, or survival. In online mode, you compete against other players in various maps from the campaign, with a 5-minute time limit. You can select friendly matches or competitive. Friendly is just playing with your friends online. You could also make bets with your credits. Your credits determine your rank. If you win a match, you win some. You lose a match, you don't get any. You could have death matches or team death matches. The only downside to multiplayer mode is that you can't customize the time limit to your game. Before starting a match, you could select your character and your weapons. The only difference between the characters are the character models. No different abilities, no different voices, and that's it. Light weapons are weapons like the assault rifle they used in the campaign, and the heavy ones are the big ones like the sniper and the rocket launcher they used in the campaign. But the weapons feel unbalanced. It doesn't take long for people to start spamming the grenade launcher, which is really annoying when you play fair. I've seen high ranked players only using the grenade launcher. I've also played 2 games with hackers, and I could tell since they were bouncing all over the place, but their inexperience put them in their place. The only difference between the control schemes is the fact that you have only 2 weapons, and that you have a melee button, which just shocks people. And it also feels like it's placed in the wrong area. It's too hard to reach. Local multiplayer is self-explanatory. The feature that disappointed me the most was survivor mode. It's not multiplayer. You have a 3-minute time limit, and you try to beat as many enemies as possible in the given time. That's it. Another feature that comes with the game is the jukebox. You can listen to the soundtrack of a game. It's kinda cool. Well then, Ironfall Invasion was a fun game. I enjoyed my playthrough, and I wouldn't be surprised to find myself busting more Zaxxides. The game is flawed, but it's a step in the right direction. Maybe VD Dev will improve with their next games. My final rating. How I felt while playing the game, I would rate it enjoyable. How I felt with my purchase, I would rate it somewhat satisfied. Well then, I hope you enjoyed my review. I apologize for any mistakes that I made, because this is my first video game review. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Do 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 do.